Okay. Good morning. So in the last session, we discussed more about list concept, list and list methods. I hope everyone practiced. So we'll see today tuple and dictionary. If possible, set also will try to come. Let's see. Okay. So what is tuple here? And what is the difference between list and tuple? This tuple also same like list only, but only difference tuple is immutable. So which means what, like whenever if you want to define tuple, so tuple is actually what? Tuple is a collection of any data type. So this is a collection of any data type. But when we define tuple, so tuple we define using open and closed parenthesis with comma separated value. So here one comma separated value is must. So means at least one comma separated value is must. That means what? You cannot write, say, for example, in the last session, when I defined a list concept, I told that whatever you write between a square bracket, that is a list only. So if you are not giving any value, there is an empty list. If you are giving one value, then list with one value. But now, if I write something tuple, so like this, and then if I write here some value 100, and remember this is not a tuple. The reason is what? One comma separated value is must here. So the reason is very simple. If you are using a list is immutable. So since it's immutable, we can also add new value for the list, maybe in future. So even if you write one value or multiple values or even empty list, so there is a possibility to add and delete because it's a mutable object. You can add, you can delete anytime. But tuple, it's immutable. So once you created here, that's it. You cannot actually modify that tuple. So that is the reason the tuple is generally what collection of any data type. But when you define tuple, at least one comma separator is required. Otherwise, what happens? It will go to the value, what value you define here, what type of data. So it simply understands that as an integer. It's not a tuple. So T2 equal to, let's say for example, 11 comma, if I write like this, then it is actually tuple. So T3, and then I'm just writing, let's say Unix, and then Python, and then 100. So this is again what? Tuple. Okay. So tuple means at least one comma separator is required. And is this open and closed parenthesis mandatory? Not mandatory, but one comma separator is mandatory. So let's say if I write something T4 equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3. This is also tuple. If I write something T5 equal to just Python, there is a string, we know. So same thing, if you write in a even open and closed parenthesis with one single value Python, there is also string on. So what I'm trying to explain here, tuple is one comma separated value always. And then you can write either open and closed parenthesis or you can also write directly. But the best practice we write using with open and closed parenthesis. Now, the difference between list and tuple. So list is immutable, right? So list is mutable and tuple is immutable. So what is immutable? Immutable means we cannot edit the data in the same reference object. And since tuple is mutable, it is somehow slow comparing with the tuple. Sorry, the list is mutable. So that is the reason comparing with tuple, it is actually somehow slow. So means when you write maybe same values in list and same values in tuple, tuple is more fast comparing with the list. And tuple is more secured comparing with list. But list, we know that we can add, we can delete, we can insert, we can append, we can whatever you want, you can do with that list that is immutable. So you need to understand where we can actually use, like whenever if you want to modify something, then we go with the list. But if you want to specific, if you want to define the same values all the time, then we go for tuple. But most of the time, tuple we use instead of defining. Let's say, for example, you are reading the data from database using with Python. So when you execute a select query, the data it comes in a tuple format when you assign to the variable. So means not only defining the variable here. So many times we can see when you read data from somewhere, the data it comes in a tuple format because more security and in between like no data loss like that. Okay, so this is the difference here. And then let me create here. Okay, yeah, so data team script. Just a minute. Okay, so I'm actually daily sharing the recording and asking you guys to write in the comments top three learnings or top learnings or whatever you understood. I don't see any comments from anyone. Okay, that is first thing. Second thing you need to understand, see, here I am spending a lot of time to give you guys, it's a completely free training. It's something I am asking if you're not doing it, and then there is no value for this. If if you have busy schedule, see, everyone have busy schedule. I am also having busy schedule. My shift ends at 2:30 a.m. and then immediately I'm taking this session, right? So if you have a commitment and then you can do it. So this is not for me, this is for you only. So since you have committed already, you are attending the training, and then whatever I say, then you have to do it here for this training. Right. So whatever you actually, so you try to watch again, revise the concepts, and then you just try to provide the comment what you learn in that video or what you learned that from the session. So then only you will get idea, okay, so if you write once and then you will remember. So try to do that today at least, if not done. So here see, this is the tuple we actually define here, right? So T1, for example, here I'm using, let's say 10 I'm writing. So print T1 and check the what is the type of this T1. So print type of T1. So print type of T1 and then see the execution here. And it is 10 and then class is in T7. So this is not a tuple here, right? So why it is not a tuple? Because we just discussed one comma separated value is must. So now I'm going to write here. Let me comment this. And then I'm just writing with one comma separator here and save it and then run, Now you can see it's a tuple. Similar way, T2 equal to, for example, I'm writing 11, 22, 33. Print T2 and then print type of T2, right? Type of T2. Now I can see the output here. It is in tuple. So I'm not using brackets, but still it is a tuple. So tuple is actually what? One comma separator is mandatory. Either you write between a open and closed parenthesis or without open and closed parenthesis, fine. But this is same like a list only. This is same like list. You can access the values based on index or reverse index. For example, see, I'm just defining here, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40. And then you can use print T1 of square bracket of 0. Same thing, whatever we did in the last session, you can try the same now. So -1 you can use. Or slicing you can use, let's say 0 colon -1. Now try to run and see the output. Say 10, 40, 10, 20, 30. But you cannot replace any value. So for example, 0, I'm trying to replace with 100. It is not possible. It is a immutable. So tuple object does not support item assignment. So only you can define and you can access the values. And if you check here, what are the tuple methods available? Since it's immutable, we know we cannot modify. So if you observe in the list, most of the methods we used for what? To modify the data. Means we used for append, we used for extend, we used for insert, we used for delete. Most of the time we used all the methods for modify. Something modify, either delete or append or insert, whatever. But tuple is not like that, right? So tuple is immutable. You cannot modify, you cannot do that type of methods. So that's the reason if you check dir of tuple here, only two methods available in the tuple, that is count and index. So we already discussed what is count. So count is actually what? Repeated. How many times it repeated? Number of occurrences. Let's say for example, I want to check 40 how many times repeated. Then you can use T1 dot count, right? So here 40 repeated only one time. Then you can use T1 dot count of 40. It will just give you one. Only one time repeated. Number of occurrences. But if I write 42 times, now you can see if I execute the count is 2. So last session also we discussed this. And what is index? Index, it will give you the index number. So we discussed this in the string, we discussed this in the list again. Now it is same thing. Okay, so I hope you got the difference between list and tuple here and how to define tuple, how to access the values we understood. And the next concept is dictionary here. So what is the use of dictionary? So generally dictionary or we call it as associative array. Or we also call it as a hash map in other languages or hash or map. Everything it's same only. In Python, we are calling as a dictionary. In Python, we are calling as a dictionary. So what is the use of this dictionary then? Why we are actually using? Anyone just type in the chat. What is the use of dictionary? Do you have any idea why we use this? Okay, so for example, assume I have a something employee list. Employee list I have like this. Employee ID and then employee name. Employee ID and then employee name like. Okay, employee ID and then employee name. So this is a list now, right? So because I defined between a square bracket, it's a list concept. For example, now here I want to access one employee name, Siri, and we should provide index number. This is 0 and index number is 1 here. EMP underscore list of 1, it will give you Siri. EMP underscore list of -1, it will give you Sarah. There is a list actually, right? It's an index base. But now I don't want to do like this. I'm just treating this as an employee list. The employee name should access with employee number. The employee name should access with employee number. Means I want to treat this 101 as employee number, Siri as employee name, 102 employee number, Babu employee name, 103 employee number, Sarah employee name. So Sarah is employee name and Sarah's employee number is 103. I want to access this with 103, not with index. So this is not possible with list, and this is possible only with dictionary here. So dictionary, if you are aware of JSON, so the JSON generally we use to get the real-time data. So for example, if you are reading some data from some web, maybe using with something API, we use multiple APIs, right? Example, REST API you are using and then getting some data. The data generally we can see either in JSON or XML format. Nowadays, everything in JSON. The JSON data, if you see, it's like key and value pair always. So the dictionary again here, it is very much useful whenever if you want to read the JSON data using with Python. We convert that JSON data into Python dictionary object to access the data based on the key. So in the advanced level, if you are reading JSON file, you will get idea how we can convert that into dictionary. But if you're not aware of dictionaries, it will be very difficult to understand the JSON concepts with the Python. I'm not going with the complete JSON. I'm only talking about how we can actually read the JSON content with Python. So there again, what is required? Dictionary concept is required. So dictionary more powerful and it is very much useful in the real time. So you should aware of complete idea how dictionary works. See, only thing is if you are aware of all the basics first, and then it will be very easy. Either you can use something like ChatGPT and you can search the relevant code based on your requirement. But if you want to understand that, and then as I told that, like you need to know the basics first. Okay, now how we can actually write the same thing here in the dictionary format. Now see here, for example, I'm just writing the same within a curly brackets with what? With the key colon value. Now, if you see somewhere like JSON, let me open here. JSON file format. See this? It's something like this. Name and age and something, you can see is student false. Like this is between a curly bracket. So this is how it is, right? So now, for example, see, for example, here, this is what it is. So I'm just asking, explain this. You can see here what exactly it is, right? So JSON syntax involves using objects and arrays using curly brackets, curly braces. What it contains with key and value separated by a colon. So this is what exactly. This is what exactly we are using here also in Python dictionary using curly brackets. So key colon value. So what is dictionary here? Dictionary is a key and value base. Key and value base like how to define dictionary here. So dictionary we define between curly brackets with the key colon value. So example, there is an example here. So where we use this, you can see like for example, the real-time use cases, let's say not only employee details, like for example, if you see many use cases, we can say, for example, based on our passport number, I want to see the person details. So passport number is a key and person details is a value. Aadhaar number is a key and then person details, maybe name and address is a value. Vehicle number is a key, owner name and details is a value. Employee number is a key, employee name and some other details is a value. So wherever you think that there is a unique number, like employee ID, something our PAN number, Aadhaar number, something passport number, or something vehicle number, these are unique. So keys are unique here. Value can be anything. Because we are using keys to access the value, to get the value based on the key. Getting my point. So this is a dictionary here. And how we can access this? We can access the values or value based on key. So what we observed here, keys are unique. Keys are what? Unique always. You cannot use duplicate keys. There is no duplicate vehicle number, right? There is no duplicate Aadhaar number, something passport number. These are unique. Also, we need to know keys are immutable objects actually. You cannot modify the keys, means it should be immutable. So immutable objects, what we have something integer value, float value, boolean, string also you can use as a key. That is okay. Like a alphanumeric value you can use as a string, for example vehicle number, that is actually alphanumeric, but it's a still key, but it's unique. Values can be anything. So let's see here how we can actually define this. So this is a dictionary and I'm trying to print this first and then also I'm checking what is the type of EMP list. Now see the output first it is printing as it is and then see the type it is DICT. It's a dictionary type, right? So as I told how we can access EMP details of square bracket only and then provide the key. What is 101 Siri it will give. And dictionary is mutable only. Mutable means what you can edit the data. So dictionary is a mutable object. First, I want to check what is the reference ID for this. And then I'm just trying to write some output separator. And then I'm using 101 equal to so employee name here. I'm trying to replace Siri with something Sita. And then check the result now and check the type. Also, you check the reference ID. So after replacing 101 with Sita, the ID should not replace. Then only we can say it's a mutable, right? Now check here, it is dictionary and then see this reference 109 10944 and I have replaced Riri with Sita here, but still the reference is same 10944. Getting my point? So this is how you can actually use the dictionary, defining the dictionaries, accessing the values based on the key, replacing the value based on the key. Can do this all the things here. So I hope this is clear now. As of now, whatever we covered, just type here in the chat box. If it is clear, just type C in the chat box. Okay. Now, we do have dictionary methods. So how to check dictionary methods? dir of dict. So just now we saw that this is a class name is dict. We provide dir of dict to get all the dictionary methods. Now you can see here. So these are the dictionary methods now. Let me copy these methods. So dictionary methods. Print dir of dict. So these are the methods now. So some of the methods already we know. Clear method we know. You just see again what is clear method. Copy method also we discussed in the list. And I'll give you some methods and then you search from your side some other methods. First, for example, get method. So get method, you can also use this get method instead of using, see there is a traditional way, professional way. So traditional way is what, for example, I want to access some value, let's say Siri, I want to display. So you can use traditional way using with square bracket 101. This is a traditional way. But the same one, you can also use emp underscore list dot. If you type dot, you can see all the methods it is displaying here. And I want to use get of 101. This is something using with method like professional. The values are same. You can decide how you want to access. Okay. That is a get method. And then items method, items actually what it will give you all the list of items what it is available. Let's say I'm using here items and then I'm assigning this to X variable. If you see the X variable, all the key and value pair, it will come in a tuple format here. All the items you can see it is there in one tuple 101 Siri, 102 Babu, 103 Sarah. It is there in the tuple, but all the list it is there in the square bracket, which means in the list. Inside the list, multiple tuples. So you can write list inside list, tuple inside list, right? And list inside tuple, tuple inside tuple. Whatever way you want, you can write it. There is no problem for that. But while accessing the values, you should understand that is it an index of list or is it an index of tuple. Accessing is fine, but if you want to replace something, if it is index of list, then only you can replace it. If it is index of tuple, you cannot touch that. Means you cannot replace it. Getting the point? Okay, so now here, see, this is actually what the items we are using the method. Okay, so items method, it is giving all the key value pair in the tuple format and all the list of keys and values it is giving in a list. Now, see, for example, if you want to print all these key value one by one, you can apply for loop, right? See, for I in x, for I in x and then print I. What it will give? It will give 101 Siri, 102 Babu, 103 Sara. So which means if you want to use something for loop for the dictionary, you cannot directly use it. So let's say if I'm using directly what happens, see for something I in EMP details, EMP list and print I. It will print only keys. It will not give values actually. So 101, 102, 103. But we know that if we have a keys, we can get the value. How? So 101 first time it is containing, sorry, I it contains 101. And then I'm using comma emp underscore list of 101. This is also okay. But I instead of using 101, I'm going to use directly I. So which means what? First time in the EMP list, it is reading 101, I value 101. Here it already printed. Now I'm using EMP list of 101. Siri it prints. Then second time 102, EMP list of 102. Babu it prints. Third time 103, then EMP list of 103. Sarah it prints. Now it is giving all the keys and values. But generally this is not best practice because we have actually the method called items method. So whenever if you want to print all the keys and values, we actually use items method here. So how, for example, I am using now for loop and I am treating this like all the keys as a k and then all the values as a v. So I am using two different variables instead of just I am using k comma v. K means I am treating as a keys and then v means values. Because I am actually reading now from the items we observed that key value it is there in the tuple. So I don't want to print the as it is like a tuple format. I want to print separately key, separately value. That is the reason two different variables I am using here in emp details dot items. Okay. Now if you check here print k comma v. So when I use k comma v from this items method, it will read keys to the k and values to the v. Now I can see the same result. You may think, okay, is it same result, the old one or the current one? Okay, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change something like this here. Something implies I'm adding and then try to run it. Now you can see 101 Siri, 102 Babu, 103 Sar. So this is how you can use for loop for the dictionary with the combination of items method. So I hope you got what is items method and then keys. What is keys? Keys generally it will give only keys. Let's say k equal to emp underscore list dot keys. Only keys it will print. There is another method called values, emp underscore list dot values print v. If you want to get only keys, only values, then this is the one. You can see only keys it is printing, only values it is printing. So two methods we covered here. And then what is pop and pop item? So I'm explaining all then. Okay. You can see if any one or two misses. So pop and pop item. So generally pop is actually what in list what we discussed. It actually deletes the last value, right? But here not like that. See, I just applied pop and then I'm trying to print all the list of keys and values using with this for loop. If you see, uh, so pop of, you need to specify key. I'm specifying actually 101. Now, if you observe, pop here, you cannot directly write it. You need to provide the key. Means what you want to delete. I want to delete 101. So I have deleted 101 using with pop, but we should only provide key. So when you provide a key, it will delete that key and value. Now you can see only I have 102 and then 103. 101 it is deleted. Then what is pop item? Pop item is a method. It will delete by default last key, last value. So you don't need to provide here. You don't need to provide any specific key for pop item. By default, it deletes last key, last value. So 101 Siri, 102 Babu, but 103 Sara it deleted now using with pop item. It's like that. And then what is update? So update is something like if you want to add a new key, new values, you can add it. Let's say, so this is employee list. And then I'm trying to add something. So let's say I have another key and value pair. Maybe for example, I have something k equal to and then 1 colon A, 2 colon B. So either you can write in a separate dictionary or maybe you can directly use with the update also. You can write in the update itself. I'm just using employee list dot update of K. So where it will update these K values in the employee list. It is like a extend method in list. But whenever if you are trying to update, it will not change any object reference. It is a mutable object, right? It will update in the same reference. Now I can see here. So this is the old one. And then I have updated 1A to B to the employee list. You got my point, right? So try to understand, try to revise the dictionary because if you want to understand the JSON, and this is more important. So in the coming sessions, if I start JSON, then you'll get idea. And check other dictionary methods. And then last one is set, right? So what is set actually? So set to generally we use to define any non-duplicate item. So this is like a mathematical set. In mathematics, I think 8th standard or 9th standard, we have this set concept. So, like if you want to perform something union, intersection, this type of mathematical expressions, and then this is very much useful in general. So how we can define set? So set generally, set is a non-duplicate data item, non-duplicate data items. So basically, duplicate items, if you write it, you can write it, but when you display, it will not display the duplicate items. So that is the reason non-duplicate, which means what? Unique values it accepts. And it never prints in order. So always set will display the values in unorder. So unorder means it's not in order. So since it's unorder, let's say now if I write 10, 20, 30, 40, when you execute this set, it may print something 40, 10, 30, 20. It will not print in order. So since it's unorder, you cannot use indexing. So indexing actually what? First value 0, second value 1. But it is giving unorder. How we can apply index, right? So indexing not possible. So you cannot apply indexing for that. So set we cannot use. Index, indexing. Okay. So no indexing concept here. So it's a non-duplicate, unique values, giving all like values in unorder. And then if you see indexing is not possible here. But set is immutable and set is iterable. You can also apply for loop. And how we can define this set? Set we can define or we define between a curly brackets with the comma separator. So curly brackets we just discussed for the dictionary. But how you define dictionary with the key colon value? But how we are defining set with the comma separated value? Okay, comma separated value. Example, let's say x1 equal to 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40. This is a set. So this is a set. Okay, so now see here. So print x1, print type of x1. You can see this. So what is the set? What is the class set type? And I'm trying to write duplicate items 10 comma 10 comma 20. And before that, you see this order how it is printing. First it printed 40, then 10, then 20, then 30. There is no order, right? Unorder. So that's the reason indexing not possible. Okay. And also I'm actually writing duplicate items, but see it is not giving any duplicates here. It's always unique values. Getting my point. So you can apply for loop. Iteration is possible for I in X and print I. So it will give you all the X1. Okay, just run it. And then you can see it is giving all the list of values one by one here with unorder. And then as I told, where we can actually use if you want to remove the duplicates, we can actually use, we can even list, let's say if you have a duplicate, if you want to delete all the duplicates from the list, you can convert that as a set. And then again, we can convert back to the list like that we do. Or what is the general use case here? Like as I told, the always we perform some mathematical operators like operations, something dir of set. If you see, you'll get all the list of methods. There are like these are actually we use most of the time with the methods only because there are a lot of methods here. See, I'm just trying to copy. So dir of set methods. You try these all methods today. There are different methods. You try to understand how to use these methods. I'll explain some. So we already discussed some of the methods in list and dictionary. Now, for example, there is a add method. So the name itself, you can understand add is actually what? Adding a new value. So for example, see, I have x1 here, and then I'm just writing 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40. Okay, so this is a x1 here. And check what is ID of x1. I told this is a mutable. We will check here whether it is modifying the same reference or not. And then I'm just writing some output separation here. And then see x1 dot add. So this is actually what? The method. So what I'm trying to add, I'm trying to add 50. And then after that, I'm trying to print these values, including with the reference. Now see this here. So first time 40, 10, 20, 30, it's unorder. But see the reference 809568. And after adding 50, the values unorder only, but the reference is same. That is why this is a mutable object. Set is a mutable object. You can add the value like this. And what is the difference? So let me just give some idea what is difference update, and what we have union, And then also you can see something intersection update like that. So generally, whenever if you see underscore update, it will update in the original object. But if you are just using difference, it will not update in the original object. That is the difference. Okay, now see here, for example. Okay, let me write here x1 and then I'm just writing x2. X2 values, I'm writing something 20, comma 30, comma 50, comma 60. So this is same, this is like a set, right? So set is like this. For example, assume I have two different sets here. And then values here, for example, in the set 1, x1 here, 10 and 20, maybe 10 and then 40 here. The common values here, something 20 and 30. And then here I'm just writing 50 and then 60. So this is a x1 here and this is a x2 here, right? So union is actually what common values. Sorry, union is actually what all the values, x1, the values in x1 and the values in x2. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, that is union. Intersection is actually what only the common values between x1 and x2. 20, 30 it will give. Difference, the values in x1 not in x2. That is difference. Same thing it will give here. So this is, as I told, like a mathematical set. So let me apply here how it actually works now. So first I'm trying to go with the union. So print x1 dot union of x1 dot union of x2. And then print x1 dot intersection of x2. And print x1 dot difference of x2. So as I told, in these methods, it will not reflect anything in x1. It is not updating in x1, right? x1 will be the same values, not reflected in x1 anything. Let's see the output. So now see union actually what it is giving the values in x1 as well as in x2, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. But this is displaying in another. x1 dot intersection of x2. So the values so intersection, if I use the common values between x1 and x2, that is 20, 30. And x1 difference of x2. So means comparing with the x1, sorry, comparing with x2, what are the values difference in x1? That is only 40 and 10. So it is printing that. And if I print x1, it is printing all x1 values. But based on this method, what is intersection update? So intersection output is this. But when you apply x1 dot intersection update of x2, see, it is not for display, it is for update in the original object. Where it is updating, which object I am using at the beginning, x1. So x1 dot intersection of update, it will now reflect in original object in x1. So whenever if you are using underscore update, it will immediately reflect in original object x1. So the x1 values now replace with only 20 and 30. Now see this output. Getting my point. So if you are using underscore update, it is updating in original object. So if you want to replace in original object, then you can go with underscore update. Or if you want to just display purpose, if you are using, or if you want to take the output in another variable, and then you can use just intersection. Similarly, for difference also, we know what is difference output here. x1 dot difference of x2, that is 10 and 40. But if you want to update this in original object x1, then you can use difference underscore update. Getting my point? So this is difference update here. Same way, you try this remaining all methods. It is simple. You just try define two different variables, x1, x2, what we define, and you try to apply the method. You will get idea what is the output. Based on that, you can understand. Or you just search this method and then you see it how these methods it helps. Okay. So with this, we completed all the collections type here in Python. So the next session we will see the file handling concept, how to work with file handling. So this is again more important, how we can read the text file using with Python, or how we can write the data to the file. So initially first we will understand how to work with text files. Later we will see how to work with extension files like .json. You can apply any other extension files. But for that you need to know modules. Okay, so first we'll cover this file handling, then later we will jump into the functions concept. Once if you are good with functions, we will start modules. There we will discuss these all the things. That's all done for today. I hope it is clear. We'll stop today and we'll continue in the next session tomorrow. Thank you all then. Have a great day.